Hello and welcome to part 3. This is episode 3. This is Sega versus the Mega Drive. So this is console wars. We've done Super Nintendo and we've done the free games on there. We've done Sega Mega Drive. We've done the free games on there. So now we're going to put them head to head. Ever wondered what this was a whole battle that was going on in the 90s? So today we're going to really dig down deep. We're going to get 3 picks from both of our guys here, Triangle Face and Ollie. And we're also going to look into some of the marketing techniques that both these consoles did. It's quite funny when you look at the adverts or commercials that did come out back in the day. So get ready for a trip down memory lane as we revisit the clashes, the contenders, and the consoles that changed basically the gaming world forever. It hit the big time. This was when everyone was talking about it in the early 90s in the playground. So I'll start with you, Ollie. So why Nintendo?
I think I was really drawn to Mario as a character. That was the big pull for me, and I got an NES as my first console. So to move into the sort of Super Nintendo era was a natural sort of progression for me. I used to read Total Magazine all the time. That was my Nintendo hit, and I vividly remember Super Nintendo getting all the images in there and seeing it, but it was the American one that everyone was seeing the images of for some reason. So I thought it was going to be this big blocky purple thing, and then when they showed it, this is what the UK one and the Japanese one is going to look like. It was like, yeah, that was the one that we got the image of to start with. And I was like, well, okay, fine, yep, I'm in. And then what we got was that beautiful looking one that's just there we are. Look at that thing of beauty.
That is so much nicer looking. It is a lot better.
I actually have one of these as well, and yeah, it is a beast.
That just looks.
I do have both.
Yeah. But yeah, I just remember seeing all the adverts, everything that was coming out for it. I remember seeing Super Mario World, and just my eyes just started bleeding. You know, you're just like, I cannot wait any longer for this console. So when I finally got my hands on a Super Nintendo for Christmas one year, I was a very, very happy young man.
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at. So basically, it released November the 21st, 1990 in Japan. North America had to wait till August the 23rd, 1991. And us in the UK, as usual, that's mad. 2 years after, like Japan, we had to wait until 92, April the 11th. Basically, it came out when it first came out in the UK. It was about 200. Well, what does it say here? It's about £150. So it's about $200 at the time, which is quite good. And a total 49.1 million units were sold of the Super Nintendo, so it did do very well. So that is the Super Nintendo side. We're going to go to you now, Triangle Face.
Right.
Why Mega Drive? Did you only have a Mega Drive growing up?
Yeah, so we'd had the Mega Drive. I think in terms of specs, the Mega Drive has got the better graphics, it's got the better RAM and the processor, it's got better sound chip in it as well and quality, and it's got better cases. So I think it's kind of better on all those fronts. It's got better graphics, better sound, better cases, everything. So it's just about the games library then, isn't it? And actually, the Mega Drive had a lot more like third-party developers and stuff as well, and it had more arcade ports and things like that. And then a lot of the good SNES titles were also on the Mega Drive. So I think the Mega Drive kind of like hit it on quite. Well, it's just
there was some good.
Yeah, there's obviously the exclusive of the SNES games are great. I'm not going to not say that, but there's a lot of games which are on both systems, and often the Mega Drive one was the better version, I think. But that's up for debate. That's why we're here, isn't it? Aladdin had a sword.
He did have a sword.
Yeah, I just think the graphics were really. I mean, again, Mega Drive was when I really got into gaming. Like, I enjoyed playing games on like my Acorn, had a BBC Micro, things like that, and I was always interested in games. But when we got the Mega Drive, I was like, no, this is really cool. I want to be doing this all the time. That's all I wanted to spend my pocket money on, and every Christmas and birthday was like Mega Drive games. Yeah, we upgraded this to a 6-button control pad. I had the Mega Drive 2. We didn't get the Sega CD or the 32X, so I didn't have those add-ons, but I did have the 6-button control pads, which is brilliant for things like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I spent a lot of time on those games.
Can I just say, just while we're getting a little bit of trash talking going there, the every single piece on that Tower of Power needs its own plug. Everything. So you've got a power supply for the Mega CD. You then had to have a power supply for your Mega Drive, and you then had to have a further power supply for your 32X. And yeah, I think one of the games that I've picked today is gonna show you how the port for just the wee old Super Nintendo just outclassed the 32X one, which was meant to be the, you know.
To be fair, I'm arguing for the Mega Drive tonight. If I was arguing for the 32X, I think I'd be in trouble. But it was a nice idea. At least Sega tried. They tried to give us a midpoint console.
Innovative,
a whole other system. Yeah, I've said this before. I always really wanted the 32X, and I never got one. And then when I got a chance to play some 32X games years later on like emulators and stuff, I was like, "Oh, these are terrible." So I was very disappointed by that. But the Mega Drive is solid.
So it was released in Japan, 29th of October 1988. It came out in North America in August 1989. So that's a year head start on the Super Nintendo. And then also it was released in Europe in, what does it say? It doesn't say. Oh, PAL, September 1990. So that's another year head start on everything else. So I'll just look at the lifespan. Sega stopped making it in 1997, and other companies have taken it on, but it sold for £189 at release, which is the equivalent of £550 now in 2023. It also sold 30 units, worldwide it sold 30.75 million units, so that's about 20 million units less, but it still sold quite well. And yeah, we won't go through it yet. I'll do the top selling games after we've gone through our 3 picks. But that is the main bit of golf that we've got there. So the release dates, it did sell around the world less, but I'm not sure if it outsold in America, if it sold better. So I have to check that. But yeah, so that is the first part. So what we're going to do now, we've done a flip of the coin and Triangle Face won. So Mega Drive will be going first. So we'll come back to Triangle Face after this with his first pick. Right, so I just want to go onto a little bit of some of the marketing that was going on around in North America at the time. This is something we didn't really get over here, did we?
We didn't. I think most of the arguments for us was playground stuff, but
yeah. So this is Sega's commercial aimed at Super Nintendo. I'm just going to play it quick.
Genesis does
16-bit arcade graphics.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis does
16-bit sports action.
You can't do this on Nintendo. Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis
Does.
Genesis does.
Get Joe Montana free, Pat Riley free, Buster Douglas free, Super Monaco GP free, or Collins free. What Nintendo don't. Buy a 16-bit Genesis system.
it's a catchy song, that, isn't it?
It
is funny because I'd like to hear anyone in the comments to say, did you actually have like arguments at school over which one was better a lot? Because I remember just in my school, it's like, oh, I've got a Mega Drive, cool. I've got a SNES, cool. Let's play on each other's consoles and enjoy the games. But were your schools different? Did you actually argue over which was better? Because it definitely felt like that's what Sega and Nintendo wanted us to do.
Yeah.
They wanted us to argue over it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know if anyone had a different experience in school with that.
But the fact is, the pure of just coming out and saying that it does what Nintendo doesn't. So it's actually coming out and saying, like, do you know what I mean? Nintendo shit, don't buy it, which is mad. Which, you know what I mean? Like, they're only just starting to do it now. Like when you have like adverts when supermarkets are going at each other and going, look, you can buy all this and this, but if you buy it with us, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? To me, that's madness. But right, I'll quickly load up the Super Nintendo one, which I found on YouTube.
Okay, class, pop quiz. Question number 1. You want to buy a video game system. Super NES gives you 4 free games. Sega gives you no free games. Which do you choose? Number 2. Farmer Brown has 4 chickens to trade for a video game system. Super NES gives him 4 free games. Sega, no free games. Which should Farmer Brown choose? Number 3.
Buy any Super NES system, and for $3.50 postage, we'll send you Super Mario All-Stars. That's 4 games free. Now, who would miss an offer like that?
Could you repeat the question?
So, do you know what I mean? I think they went back at him saying, look, because
The thing
obviously
is, on the advert, you just
game in
on the advert you just showed for Mega Drive though, it was advertising it came with a free game. And
Yeah,
on
so
the
maybe-
Nintendo advert, it said it came with 4 free games. That was actually a compilation game. So you got 1 free game with either. So that's
and they were all from the NES as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
all-
They were complete remakes from the ground up, and it technically was four games, albeit on one cart. But it was
Yeah,
4
well,
games,
technically-
including the original Super Mario 2, which we'd never had in this country before.
the Lost Worlds. But yeah, well, yeah, some mad marketing there. But it just brings us straight on to the first choice, and that is Triangle Face. So what he's
Yes.
going to do is I'm going to just play the first level of it. He'll give an explanation why he's picked it, and why, and obviously why it is a definite for a Mega Drive win over a Super Nintendo.
So the game that I've picked is Sonic the Hedgehog. So you've got to have a Sonic title in my list. We've already talked about Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles on the previous show. So I wanted Sonic to be represented. I thought, what better than to have the original first Sonic the Hedgehog. And also one of the best-selling games. I think it was a pack-in title with the original Mega Drive. And yeah, it still holds up really well now. I think a lot of the elements of Sonic 1 have stuck around for the future games. Let's have a look, see how Blinders gets on. But yeah, this was a cracking title. I always like the debug mode you could do as well. You could enter it and you could change the sprites and you could like plant stuff in the level. That was always fun to do.
So first thing I noticed straight away is you can't do the speed up.
No, you
Speed,
can't.
yeah.
Yeah, that came in. Did that? I presume that came in 2.
Coming
Didn't
too,
it?
I think. Didn't it?
Sonic 2
yeah.
came in, yeah.
But the music of this, like, I think one of the best ones is probably Sonic 3. Had really good music, but even from this early title, the music was just classic.
The Green Hill, I will give it you. Green Hill is just, that piece of music is absolutely iconic.
And like the
It's
bonus
phenomenal,
stage
isn't it?
is really cool as well. And it's one of those things all about going fast, wasn't it? So this was when Sonic was about going fast. You could do like try and get your best time, but get a better lap time than your mates and that sort of thing. And you had like the giant coin, which you haven't got. You didn't get the giant coin. You got the bonus stage.
Got to get 50 rings.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I just flied through it quick. It wasn't. I wasn't.
Gotta get
Yeah.
fast.
Something else that I really like about this game is when you run in the background, you've got the various elements of the background moving slower than the foreground. So you've
Yes,
effectively
like
got
layers.
three layers there. You got your foreground moving fast. You've got the next layer moving not as fast, and then the further background with all the mountains is moving a little bit slower again. It's very clever.
And it's I heard this somewhere. Like they brought this out on the iPhone and all that, didn't they? And I heard that if you're into your emulation and all that, you can actually buy the game on the iPhone and it's widescreen version.
Oh,
So
okay.
you actually get more of the game. So you actually get like the bigger version. So it's better to
You can see
play.
the
But I'm
screen, yeah.
obviously I'm just admiring. I'm not trying to play through it. I'm just admiring, like you say, in the artwork, the music, and everything.
So I actually
about it.
had a copy of Sonic on a very old phone. I think it was a Panasonic. I don't know if they're trying to be clever because it came with like Sonic the Hedgehog on it, and it's just play. But it was like a flip phone, and I could play it with like one hand. It's just like the little dials around the 5 would control it. And yeah, I played it on a little flip phone. The music was quite tinny, but it was good one to have. This is before the days where your phone would have like much better quality games. But
Which is mad. So yeah, that is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
On the Sega Mega Drive. So we will leave it there, and we will go to Ollie's first choice right after this. Right, so Triangle Face has gone with Sonic the Hedgehog. So Ollie, what are you going for your first choice?
My first choice is the mighty Super Mario World. This is the game that was a launch title for Super Nintendo, but as is with every Nintendo that brings out a good Mario game on it straight up, it is always one of the best games on the system. And this, for me, is the pinnacle of platforming genius. Is it as fast as Sonic the Hedgehog? I don't know. There are parts of this that are fast, but again, similar to what Sega had with the the various elements moving at different speeds and paces in the background. This has got a similar thing here, which you can see there. But the addition of Yoshi in this for me was just absolutely wonderful. And it was not only as an adult that I started really noticing that he sort of, when you want his tongue out, he definitely punches him in the back of the head.
Yeah, punches him on the head, doesn't he?
Smack.
Gives him a
So
little
you can abandon him to get over a gap, can't you? Sometimes, so you'll
You
jump
can.
over. Like, I'll let Yoshi fall into a pit of death, and I'll get across.
Yeah, but just
Oh no.
the graphics for this I still think are incredible. I still look at this and think this just looks absolutely superb. And I think
It still holds up, mate.
if I was to ever get a Super Mario tattoo, which at some point in my midlife crisis I think is going to be possible, this is not the small Mario. When Mario's got his first mushroom, that would be the Mario I would get. I just love the artwork for this game.
It's just it was one that I remember fondly as well. But I'm just making my way through the levels. The music sounds great as well.
The music is just, again, for me, the music is iconic in this one. And I love the map, the open map that they had. It's like it's an extension of what we had on Mario 3. But it's so good.
And all of that stuff is still popular now, isn't it? Like if you get like a modern Mario title, it's still like this. Obviously, they've updated the graphics and stuff, and all Super Mario Maker was excellent, and you could have it in this art style. Levels.
Yep. Look at that.
It's
it's
iconic. I'll just leave it there. So yeah, this was Ollie's pick. This was Ollie's first pick. If you agree with him, you're gonna have to let us know. So I'll quickly close that down. So yeah, Super Mario World, Sonic the Hedgehog. You guys are gonna have to let us know in the comments after this. So I'll be putting up. You're gonna have to vote to see who comes out on top. Will it be Super Mario World with Ollie, or will it be Sonic the Hedgehog with Triangle Face? But right after that, we were gonna now go to Triangle Face's second choice. And he will let you know that right after this. Right, so we are now on to the second round. So, Triangle Face, take it away. What is your second pick?
So, I think one of the best carts I had on the Mega Drive was Mega Games 2, and it had 3 really good titles on there. It had Golden Axe and Streets of Rage, 2 franchises we talked about on the previous shows, and the third game was Revenge of Shinobi. So I've gone for Revenge of Shinobi. Because one we've not really covered, and it is a really, really good game. And Blanders, you said you've not played this before, so I will have to give you some tips and advice on this. There is a really cool cheat. So if you start up, I'll show you where to go to put a cheat in. So if anyone watching, this is quite a well-known cheat, I think. So I don't think I'm going to be.
Also, as I've said, it's a Spider-Man there. Spider-Man and Marvel Entertainment.
Yes, because Spider-Man is one of the bosses. One of the bosses looks like Spider-Man after you kill its first form. So if you go into the options, so for the game starts, you go to options. You have like shurikens, and you can run out, and you have to pick them as you go. But if you go to your shurikens, there it says 50. Change that to 0.
To 0,
yeah,
right.
to 0. Leave it on 0 and just wait a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have to wait for it to change. But the 2 zeros merge together and form an infinity symbol. And then you have infinite shurikens. There you go. Got unlimited, so they got unlimited shurikens.
Well, how did I not know this?
Yeah, that's a cheeky. I don't even know how I know. It must have been in a magazine or something back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
But that made it much, much easier. So the other big tip I'm going to give you is if you double jump and then hit shuriken button, he'll throw like loads of shurikens out, which when you have a limited amount is not worth doing a lot. But on this mode, you can do as much as you want. So you can spam that move. You'll also notice along the top of the screen, there's your different magic spells. If you press start and pause the game, you can change it from, you've got invincibility, you've got a thing that wipes out lots of characters on the screen, you've got an extra jump distance, and then you've got a self-destruct. And the self-destruct...
What's the best one?
For this level, probably the lightning. but you don't need to use it yet. Wait until you think you need it, and then you can use it later.
What button is it? Just in case it must be the
A,
other
I think.
button
So,
I've pressed. Yeah.
yeah. That was your magic for that. And you
So
can
I've
get
never
little
played
power
it.
things. You get like little power things where you can like then get a sword and hit people. So yeah, it's. I mean, look at the graphics on this. It does look really like quite well.
I'll press the wrong
detailed.
button.
There you go. You got your invincibility now, so that'll help you go for a bit. So you get to use one magic per level. And the interesting thing about the self-destruct one, because I was a kid, like, why do you want to use the self-destruct thing? But I realized that when you self-destruct, you lose a life, and then you come back and you have full life again, but you haven't gone back to the beginning of the level. So in some of the harder levels, you can use that to help you get through.
Ah, it's clever.
Yeah. See if you can do like the double jump thing. It's quite hard to do. You have to time it. So you jump and then jump again when you're in the air, and you should do like a flip.
Jump again.
Yeah,
there you go. That.
If you shoot your shuriken while you're jumping, he throws loads out. There
you go. Little triangle facing.
There you go. Little tips for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a really. There, you lost your invincibility now.
Oh.
Yeah, this was a really fun game at the time. I never completed it when I entered the Mega Drive because it was very hard and you had limited lives.
Even
Obviously,
with the cheats.
Yeah, even with the cheats. There's no save states. There's no password. You have to start from the beginning every time. And I would get to the later levels, but I'd have so few lives to attempt that level with. I'd get a little bit further and then have to go back and start again. And some of the later levels really hammer you with the enemies and stuff. Like I said, one of the bosses looks like Spider-Man. There's another boss that looks like Terminator. And things like that.
I'm glad you don't die straight away like you normally do in these games.
Yeah.
Like,
You got a bit of
one
life.
touch and you're dead, and it's like start again.
Can you
And
get
there's
more life in this? I can't remember.
Yes, there are some little hearts. I think there's some hearts over there actually. That box over there, I think, has got some hearts in it. Well, it's got one up.
One up.
There's a secret heart to the side of that wall, but it's invisible. So if you shoot the wall, you'll hit the invisible box and the heart shows up, I think.
What's this?
No, the other side. You have to go outside and then do a double jump and shoot the wall.
Oh, okay.
So let's see if we
Right,
can
so that is Triangle Face's pick.
Yep.
I'm just going to close that down.
Revenge of Shinobi. Excellent game.
So, Revenge of Shinobi.
Yeah.
Will it be Ollie's pick that is coming up just after this? Right, okay, so Triangle Face has come with Revenge of Shinobi for the Mega Drive. So here is Ollie with his choice. So Ollie, what is your second choice?
Oh, the second choice. Hold on to your butts because this game just blew everyone away, and it was a real spectacle when it came out. And I think secretly every Sega fan, when they saw this, was just, oh man, they were jealous. That game is Donkey Kong Country. Graphically, this game is on another level, like an absolute another level. I could not believe this was on a Super Nintendo when I first saw it, and yeah, there's everything to do with this game is just pure perfection. Yeah, I'm just gonna let this play. Oh, this intro, man, especially with the music.
This, oh God, I don't want to ruin it. I'll be quiet.
Look at that.
So Donkey Kong's known for it. Obviously, you got the Donkey Kong rap in the N64 game.
Yep.
But yeah, whilst you're talking about this pick, so why is Donkey Kong Country 1994? Why is it a must?
You will see from the moment you start playing, it is fair in every sense of the way that a platformer should be. It's tricky, but it's not impossible. These first few levels are a bit easier. There's a lot of little secrets to find, as you've just done there. You can go in and see your empty banana hoard, which is what you're on the quest for. You quest to get your bananas back. And this also introduced quite a lot of people, actually, probably to Donkey Kong in a modern era, because prior to that, the only thing we'd seen him in was, Donkey Kong, the where he was a villain. But yeah. This was phenomenal.
I think there's a lot of talk about which Donkey Kong was which, because there's obviously the Donkey Kong from the original one where you're throwing barrels, and there's like Donkey Kong Jr. was like had in the like nappy or something on like Mario Kart. And I think some people are speculating whether Cranky Kong is actually the original Donkey Kong, and this is like a younger Donkey Kong.
That could be. I like that.
Sounds more like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
I like that theory. And
But like you've also got the different animals, haven't you?
you
Yeah,
have.
he's great.
I can't remember what this little
Scampy.
chap's Scampy. Yeah, but there was all the different ones, and I just love all these little levels where you're just bombing it through to try and get as many bananas as possible. And if you spell Kong, you get an extra life.
What was the actual special? How is it made? What do they call that again? I can't remember what they called it.
Was it called like an FX chip? Is that what they
The
called
FX
it?
chip.
Is it the same thing they used on Lilac Wars?
I don't know.
Because that was like the first game that like I was doing like big.
I mean, I've got the box up there, but it's sideways on, so all I can see is the title. But I vaguely remember them sort of saying there was some kind of chip that they'd put in the cart that was doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and the Nintendo was just boosting that and giving us what it wanted. Because to me, this looks like a PS1 game, really.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, you could argue that. Yeah. Do you know what, graphics-wise as well, there was also a really good Donkey Kong title on the Game Boy, which surprised me how well the graphics looked on a Game Boy screen. Even I played that like a lot. That had a nice yellow cartridge as well, if you remember that.
It did.
Yeah, it did. I remember that one. That's just come onto Nintendo Switch Online, by the way.
It is a good one. It's a good title.
Sorry, I was going to say the only other thing that we've not done on that is with Donkey Kong. I don't know what you can do with Diddy Kong, but certainly with Donkey Kong, if you find an area of land, you can also do like the hand slaps on the floor, and that can bring up little secrets or take you to little hidden areas as well. It's
Diddy Kong can do a cartwheel, can't he? So
yes,
Diddy Kong can cartwheel, but then Donkey Kong can roll as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, yeah.
So who's going to take the second spot? Will it be Donkey Kong Country to Super Nintendo, or will it be Return of the Shinobi with from Triangle Face there? So this will now go on to our third and final picks. Will this be the decider? Will it be 1-1 this time? So we will find out right after this. So this brings us on to our third and final pick from you, Triangle Face. It's got to be a good one. So for the Mega Drive, what is representing?
Right, so I wanted to get something we haven't talked about already, because we talked about loads of good titles. There's loads of really good platform games on the Mega Drive, good fighters, and I wanted to go to something a bit quirky that's also got like a good fan base. That's a bit of a favourite for a lot of people, and that's Toe Jam and Earl. So Toe Jam and Earl games, they've got really good music. They're really quirky. They're really funny. Just look at that. That screams 90s, doesn't it? How 90s is this? And I love the follow-up as well. Toe Jam and Earl Panic on Funkatron, brilliant game. You can play as. It was great as a two-player as well. This is a really good game to play with your mate and do two-player. The worlds are randomly generated. You've crash landed. This is meant to be Earth, apparently. So you crash landed on Earth, and you've got to find the parts of your ship. And you can unlock the map as you go, and you've got to try and find the elevator to move to the next floor up, and then you find the different parts of your ship. But you can fall off, and if you fall off, you move down to the floor below. So sometimes you'd fall off a ledge, and you'd go down, and then the next level down didn't have a bit of land there, and you'd fall another floor down. So it's a bit punishing in that sense. But
you just read it said that Toe Jam was a wiener. Just saw
that. You upgrade as you go. So you go from being like a wiener to being cool to being super rad and that sort of stuff.
I like the fact that as he's walking as well, he's all like, sort of doing all those cool moves that people thought were dead cool in the 90s.
Yeah,
he's got 3 legs for a reason. Tripod.
The other thing you've got here then is the presents. So if you go to your pause menu, you'll see you've got some different presents you can select. Some of the presents are question marks. You don't know what they are. Once you've opened it, you know what it is, and you can like figure out what the presents are. But some of them are bad, so you have to kind of like decide which ones you're going to use and which ones you're not. So it's a bit of a gamble. But there is a quite funny character in the game called the Curious Carrot, and it's just a carrot with a beard walking around going, and you can ask the carrot what the presents are, and he'll tell you what some of them are. There you go. They're all question marks at the moment. You have to like just use it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then annoyingly, there's one present which was randomizer. and if you opened it, all of your presents got randomized again. So if you'd figured out what all of the presents were, bar a few, it's best just to leave it at that point because you don't want to
Who's
get
this
the
mate you
randomizer.
chasing me? Here's that one.
He's just a
Oh, there's
demon.
a present there.
Devil. There you got some food, got a present. Why don't you use a present?
How do you use it?
So if you go into the menu, I think it's like A on the present. Yeah, bonus hip tops. So that helps you
Open.
run. It opened it. Now you can run. I think, unless you haven't actually opened that, you've still got them there.
Bonus high tops. So you got like cooler trainers.
Yeah, you can run
Yeah,
with them.
I'm trying to get away from them. So,
Press one of the buttons. It helps you run. There you go, jamming super hip tops. Hit where words. High tops is what I meant to say. There you go, super high tops.
What the hell is going on there?
I don't know. Do you open up a random present? I think it teleported you.
yeah.
Now, if you press C, you should be able to run with those on. That's the map screen. One of the buttons should allow you to run. Now you're using them.
That's the thingy. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
It's
there you
A.
go. That's how you use it. Yeah, so you can run with those on. So that will help you get out of a situation if there's an enemy chasing you, trying to get away. It also allows you to do a bit of a wider jump.
Amazing.
I see. Okay, you can buy. You got bucks. You can buy presents and stuff. So you probably want to explore the map until you find a piece of the ship or the elevator to go to the next level. If there's a piece of the ship on the level, I think the game warns you not to move up because you haven't got the ship part on this stage, so you don't want to go up yet.
Oh, he jumps. If you go over the thing, he jumps.
Yeah.
But if you're going fast, look.
Yeah, you want to go. Oh,
Jump
no,
off
you've fallen
that.
down.
Bummer.
You've fallen back down to this level now. So this is the bottom level. So obviously the around there is water, but as you go up, all the gaps are just space, and you all just fall down.
I've lost my thing as well.
Yeah, you lost your high tops now, but you can sneak. So you can sneak past things that are asleep.
Yeah. Cool. So
Okay.
close that. That is Toe Jam and L on the Sega Mega Drive,
Yeah,
and that is
and
Triangle Faces.
If you
Third
haven't
and final
played it, go play Toe Jam and L. And if you haven't played the second one I think is even better. But I wanted to pick the first one for the show. But yeah, Toe Jam and L, Panic on Funkatron, completely different game, and it's like a 2D platformer, and it's got really good characters in it, really good sense of humor, and there's a little beatboxing mini game you play in it, and yeah, great games.
Cool. So that is Triangle Faces' third and final choice. We'll be right back with Ollie's third and final choice after this. Right, so now we are back. We're back with Ollie's third and final choice. We've seen Triangle Faces, Toe Jam and Earl. So what could the Super Nintendo bring? What can it bring, Ollie?
For me, again, this was a difficult choice, but I figured this game, again, running on a Super Nintendo, it had to be brought to the table, and I had to bring it to the table for a specific reason as well. That game is the original Doom. This game, running on a Super Nintendo, the thing that absolutely pips this version of Doom is the music. This is incredible music for the Super Nintendo. As soon as it starts, you'll hear it and you will just be blown away. Oh yes. Oh yes. And when you start that level and you hear that first dun, 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 dun.
Do you mean there's no intro, there's no nothing, you are straight in?
Just listen to that music. It is
phenomenal. I
absolutely
like that music.
superb. And this did come out on the 32X, and the music on the 32X is absolute poo. And that is meant to be on a better cartridge. Admittedly, you need the 32X, you need the Mega Drive in order to make that work. But point being, it was meant to be a more powerful add-on, and yet this version of Doom is superior to it in every way. But I just couldn't believe this when this came to Super Nintendo, because this was just a huge game for PC, let alone console. So to have a version of it on the Super Nintendo was just mind-blowing for me.
Has there been a thing though that people have been getting Doom to play on various things? It's like,
Yes.
can it play Doom? Yeah, there's like people have got Doom to play on like internet fridge or something.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
various screens. Like, can it play Doom? Can you
I
get Doom
think-
to play on a kiosk or something?
Yeah, I think somebody got Doom to work on a card reader. The thing you tap your tap your contactless cards on. I think it was running on one of those as well.
Wow. Again, as a franchise, it's still going now, isn't it? Like we've still got it's the Doom Dark Age,
Yes.
isn't it? Like, coming out. So, and I loved Doom VR.
Yes.
It's absolutely crazy. Not for the faint of heart, and not for anyone with motion sickness, but that was a very high adrenaline fueled game.
It certainly was. Yeah, I still can't believe that this game is on Super Nintendo. Even looking at it now, I remember it did come to PlayStation 1 as well, and I don't remember it looking or feeling much different to the Super Nintendo version. And at that point, we really were into
Music's
this
wrong, right?
era, and
That's one thing that's hit me. I haven't played this in a long time, and it's the music.
it's great. It's so good. There's quite a few games that I feel are like that for the Super Nintendo, where the music for me is just slightly better than other ports. And yeah, I still just love this game. I still love this game. I love gunning through it, pun intended, and just seeing how far I can get with before I die or something like that. It's yeah, I can't remember. Well, there weren't really first-person shooters, were there, before Doom?
Nah,
So
well,
it really was one of the
Definitely
first.
set a standard, didn't it?
It really did, and the fact that people still play it now, still talk about it now, just shows how good it was and still is. Ah,
I did think when I was at university, we did do a tutorial for how to make like a Doom clone on Game Maker. And when I finished the tutorial, I went through and I changed the textures of the walls to honeycomb and changed the Doom head things to bees. And I made a game called The Hive, and you just went around the shotgun shooting giant bees. And I was experimenting with like doing sound bites, and we added a quip button. So if you press one of the buttons, it would play a random sound file, and the guy would just be like saying things like "goddamn bees," like "get out of my face, you bee," just random stuff like that. Yeah,
I feel like you need to bring that back to the table, Tim.
Oh, I'd love to, but it was on an old PC that died, and files were lost to the ether, I'm afraid. Yeah,
right.
The game I made before Puck Puck. So
right, so that is brought us to the end. So we're now going to put it against each other. So we're going to have Triangle Faces, Toe Jam, and Earl going up against Ollie's Super Nintendo version of Doom. These will all be coming out. Our members will get it. Literally, if you become a member, it's only £1. They'll be getting this straight away. Non-members, you're going to have to wait until at least Monday to get this video. Straight away. And what we'll do is we're going to do some honorable mentions of both titles. We're going to run through some stuff and be back with you just after this. Right, so now we are back with the final part of the show. This is a bit. We just got some. Obviously, three games for each console is not going to do these consoles any justice at all. So what we're going to do is get some honourable mentions. So obviously Triangle Face, you've gone first all night. So some honourable mentions from yourself and some like memories of the Sega Dreamcast.
Cool. So
Sega
Mega Drive.
Genesis, sorry, Mega Drive.
So I think for me, one thing to mention would be Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Obviously, they were on both systems, but I think the Mega Drive versions, the best way to play it was on the 6-button control pad, because you had the 3 buttons for punches, strengths, and stuff on Street Fighter. And then on Mortal Kombat, you had like the run button in the middle from Mortal Kombat 3 onwards, and it was just more comfortable, I think, to play. And those are great games. I think I had Mortal Kombat 3 was probably the one I played the most, and then Street Fighter 2 or Super Street Fighter 2 on the Mega Drive. Another one to shout out would be Jurassic Park. There's lots of different Jurassic Park games, but the Jurassic Park on the Mega Drive, I think for me was the best Jurassic Park game you could get. And I spent a lot of time on that. That's a really fun game. There's quite a lot of quirky platform games. I think we talked a bit about Rystar you played on the other day.
Yeah, that's a great game.
That's a really fun game. I've talked about Alicia Dragoon a lot, Dynamite Heady. And what I've not really mentioned, as I was looking through to get some ideas, Sylvester and Tweety Pie on the Mega Drive. If you've ever played that is actually a really good fun game. It's one where you kind of have to pick up these different items and get around. You're just going to try and get to Tweety Pie, and then by the end you kind of catch him, and then he flies off and you go into the next level. But yeah, but that's a great game.
Never catch
And you never do catch him.
Spoiler.
Always gets away.
So,
Or do you? Do you catch him at the very end? You have to
right,
play the whole game to find out.
So Ollie, on to you. What about you? What about some honourable mentions?
So I was just looking up at my games because I'm lucky now where I've sort of got my room in a little bit more of a better state, so I can actually see the games as well. So certainly things like Star Wing or Star Fox in to the rest of the world was groundbreaking. That deserves its own little honourable mention. What else have we got up there? We got things like, I think Super Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo is fantastic. Already had your 6 buttons to start with, which is always handy. But my big honourable mentions are going to be Earthworm Jim. I think the Super Nintendo version is better purely because of the music. A lot of people prefer the Mega Drive music because it's a bit more tinny, and it sort of fits that world a bit more. But the second level where you're in hell, you need this version of the music in order for it to be good. Really quickly, Super Probotector, which is effectively
good shout.
Contra.
It is Contra 3, yeah. But because in Europe and most other places, we thought mechs and robots were cooler than men with no shirts on. So Super Probotector. And then one of my favourite fighting games of all time is Turtles Tournament Fighter. And this version is the better one. And again, look at that. It was just before we were allowed to use the word ninja. So it is Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles Tournament Fighter.
Oh, man.
This is fantastic. It's just really, really cool. It's a Turtles beat 'em up game. What more could you want? So good. So yeah, those are my honourable mentions.
Wow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the top 10 selling games for both consoles. So here we've been starting with the Mega Drive, Genesis all night. So first, the top seller was Sonic the Hedgehog. Obviously we've played that. That sold 15 million because it was bundled in as well. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was number 2 with over 7.5 million. Mortal Kombat was number 3, 4.3. Don't forget you could have blood and everything on the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Disney's Aladdin sold 4 million. That was number 4. Number 5 was Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic and Knuckles with 4 million as well. And it says here Sonic and Knuckles at least 1.24 million in the US, and Sonic 3 at least 1.02 million in the US. So it done great out there. Jurassic Park, like you said, Tim, that was number 6 with 2.2 million units sold at least in the US. NBA Jam, that was number 7, at least 1.93 million units in the US. Mortal Kombat 2, at least 1.78 million units in the US. And it says Street Fighter 2, Special Champion Edition, 1.66 million units. And then another game you mentioned as well, Tim, Eternal Champions, at number 10. Yeah. With more than 1.6 million units.
Wow, I'm surprised that Eternal Champions is that high actually, because I thought it was a bit more of an obscure, lesser known title. But yeah,
it says here I've got up to 19, so I'll just quickly run these. Number 11, Altered Beast. Number 12, Mortal Kombat 3. Number 13, Miss Pac-Man. Number 14, NFL 98. Number 15, NFL 94. 16, Sonic Spinball. 17, X-Men. 18, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, with over 1 million in the US, and 19 Sonic 3D Blast. So I'm guessing that is mainly the US market there, but some big titles in there. So anything in there that you're surprised at, both of you?
I'm surprised Power Rangers is in even in the top 20. I know Power Rangers was massive, but in that era of gaming, teenagers, I can't imagine teenagers wanting to have been buying Power Rangers, so that one shocks me quite a lot.
Like I said, the one that shocked me actually was Eternal Champions being higher than Mortal Kombat 3, because I didn't think it was that well known a title, but it is a really good one. I think most of those titles we've talked about either on this show or the previous one where we covered the Mega Drive, so yeah, I think we've covered quite a lot of the big hitters.
So right then, that now brings us on to the Super Nintendo. Number 1 was Super Mario World. That came out. That sold 20 million units, but obviously it says it was bundled. Super Mario All Stars was 2 with 10 million, 10.5, 10.5. Donkey Kong Country was 3 with 9.3. Super Mario Kart was 4 with 8.7. Street Fighter 2 World Warrior, it says here, edition, 6.3. Donkey Kong Country 2 was number 6. Diddy Kong's Quest, that was 5.15. That was quite a lot. Number 7, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, phenomenal game. That one done 5.15 units. I'm sorry, that done 4.6. Then it says here, number 8, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. That done 4.1. Then Street Fighter 2 Turbo was number 9 with 4.1. And Star Fox was number 10 with 4 million units. And I'll just do a quick rundown to 20. Donkey Kong Country 3 was 11. Final Fantasy 6 was 12. Killer Instinct was 13. Dragon's Quest was 14. F-Zero was 15. Dragon Quest 5 was 16. Chrono Trigger was 17. Final Fantasy 5 was 18. And Mario Paint was 19. And Super Mario RPG was number 20. So anything in there, you guys, that you're shocked at?
The Dragon Quest games, I'm surprised that they're in there at all. It's a very Japanese favorite, that. And I'm surprised that Zelda is that far down in the top 10. I would have thought Zelda would have been number 2, maybe even 3.
Yeah, well, you think it's done 4.6 and they brought out a lot of Zelda games after that. You think like the Breath of the Wild's done 20 million at least.
Zelda said that I would have thought Star Fox would have been higher up as well. Because I thought that was quite a big deal when it came out. It had a lot of marketing as well. It was quite impressive when that came out. And like you mentioned, Dragon Quest, I'm surprised we've got that on the list with quite a few RPGs, but Secret of Mana's not on there. I would have thought Secret of Mana would have been there instead.
Secret of Mana was number 24, Square 1.8. The thing is, we obviously, how did they track these? Same with like the Mega Drive. Like, obviously, it could be a lot more, could be a lot less. We don't actually know. Like, this could only be like one territory, could only be North America, as they seem to have more stuff on this. Whereas, do you know what I mean? It could be more, could be less. But for me, Mario Paint, 19. I remember bringing out that. I don't remember playing it. I remember seeing it. I remember wanting it, the big box and everything as well. But Mario Paint in there.
Mario Paint. There you go.
So that is it. That is the end of this show. So we want to know your thoughts. So you need to leave us a comment. You need to subscribe. You need to hit that like button. Like you said, a lot of people have viewed this and they haven't subscribed. There's more of this coming. We've got lots more to come. We've got more shows on our channel. We want to know your thoughts. You need to be voting to make sure that your title wins, like we did back in the school days. And I'll be announcing it over the socials, so keep an eye on all our socials. So all I can do is say thank you to you, Tim, and thank you to Ollie. Anything else, you guys, one more rally cry to make sure people vote for you in your titles?
I don't know. I couldn't think of anything wittier than Sega does what Nintendo don't. So, and I'm meant to be batting for the Super Nintendo. So,
you Tim?
No, do you know, I was going to just end on Sega do what Nintendo don't, but the wind's been taken out of the sails now. But
good.
You know, it's a war where there are no losers because we all enjoy the games with all these systems, and they're both fantastic. But if I have to pick one, it's the Mega Drive.
Ollie?
Oh, I mean, that is fighting talk, isn't it? I mean, there is only one of these two companies still making hardware, so.
We're not comparing later ones. It's the Mega Drive versus. We can bring up the 32X again if you like, but we're not debating 32X. We're debating the Mega Drive. So, there you go.
Man. Yeah.
So please let us know and become a member. Become a member. It's only £1. It all goes back to you guys. It all goes back on prizes. So that is it. Thank you. We will see you in the next one. Peace.